Happy Friday, folks. NBL Now coming back your way. We're in the thick of the last round of the regular season. It's a very exciting time to be a Hoops fan. Some interesting games to kick off the round. And I'll tell you what, this Friday night slate and going into Saturday is going to be something really special to close out the regular season. Joel Peterson and Damon Lowery with you. Damon, before I say good morning to you, last night I heard you on the broadcast with Jack Hever and Pete Hawley and the great Ariana Prather use the word rest as a recommendation. Are you okay?
I felt sick immediately after saying that. And I checked my phone after the game, JP, and I got a please explain from the wannabe Navy SEAL community review panel. I could be in trouble.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. You might have to go. Brisbane might drag you into their full independent review, and who knows where that might end up. That was the story last night. The Bullets and the Taipans triple-double Taran, our first triple-double of the season. Sam Wardenberg had gone close only 2 weeks ago against Perth with 24-9 and 9. Taran Armstrong one-ups him with 28, 10 and 10. He plays his hometown Tasmania on Saturday night, but that was really the story out of last night's game, was the performance out of the man that might be our Next Gen Award winner come next week.
Yeah, great performance by Taran. To start off that game, you could just tell that he was already in a rhythm, but he didn't have some of his teammates going with him. So Taran took it upon himself. Sam Wardenberg only had 2 shots to the half. So he got him involved in that third quarter. And all of a sudden we look up and he's on 5 assists, 6 rebounds. And we thought, is he going to go after it? This is the last regular season home game for the Cairns fans, and they just got $50,000. Why not give him a triple-double to go out with?
He's a young player. He's developing into his game. One thing he has, though, is he's got a little bit of show about him. So if you look at, his career best performance against Tassie, his hometown team, he puts up big numbers against Tassie almost every time he plays them. A couple of his best career performances have come against Tassie. And then, last regular season, home game of the season, I'll just go out and get a triple-double. He's got a little bit of showmanship, which I love.
Yeah, he's got that spunk about him, don't he? I also like the poise he plays with. He doesn't seem too rattled. The boys are tipping water over his head and congratulating him. He's like, what, triple-double. Yeah, what's the big deal? He just kind of got that bit of an it factor. I like the way he carries himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about the Bullets, who missed the postseason again? So I think that's every year since 2018 or 2019 now, 6 seasons in a row. They flagged, Malcolm Watts has flagged the CEO. They'll do a full independent review. There's sort of scuttlebutt around whether that, will sort of see the demise of Justin Schuller and exactly what his potential position is there. The real positive for Brisbane out of the season is, the form of Casey Prather and what they may have to sort of build around with that piece. But if you were the Bullets, where would you go from here?
First of all, I'm all for internal reviews. Hey, Joel, in the Navy SEAL community, we call them AARs. There's after action reports. Anyway, you got to run a fine-tooth comb over the entire program. No doubt about that. Just do your due diligence. But this league is so tough that if you don't have your main horses, you are not going to win. It is as simple as that. Brisbane Bullets went into this season. Preseason, they won the Blitz. If you had done an internal review after the Blitz, Justin Schuller would have got a 3-year extension. So fast forward, Ding Adele gets hurt. Sam McDaniel's hurt. Tyrell Harrison's up and down with injury, concussions. James Bateman, they import, who dropped 51. He does a hamstring, and not just does it, almost takes it off the bone. He's done for the year. Now all the heavy, Josh Bannon gets hurt. I mean, it's only so much you can do with what you got. What I liked about Justin Schuller, they didn't make any excuses. They just brought in guys like Cal Dalton. Isaac White got more playing time. He played Josh Coonan minutes. You just saw him just scrambling to get bodies. Did he ever make an excuse in the press conference? Nope. All those dudes, was there any infighting? Nope. Those dudes like playing with each other. Keandre Cook and Casey Prather just stepped it up. I respect it, and they still almost came 6th. After all of that being said, we're talking about Adelaide 36ers. They've only got one more win than Brisbane, and they got way more firepower. So this internal review, they're going to try to justify and find a reason some of these injuries happen. Was it overuse? Was it overtraining? You know what? I don't know. They're going to go and do all that kind of stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, in 2 years, Justin Shooter has established a good playing group, a good culture amongst those guys. Hearing Mitch Norton talk in the press conference, they like going to battle with each other, and there's no bad eggs in the team. I think Shooter's done a good job, and I'll bring him back.
It's interesting you think about where they were before he came. I mean, they were an absolute rabble. They were embarrassing in terms of their off court and how many coaches they had in the season prior to Schuler starting. So he didn't have a lot to work with when he got there. But it looks like he and the current Brisbane Bullets operation have righted the ship. So the chance for them to continue is there. Let's see whether they go down that road. Before we get to the next set of games, so tonight and tomorrow to round out the season, there's been a lot made of the interaction, let's call it, between Petteri Koponen and Matt Mooney on Wednesday night. What did you make of that little blow up on the sideline?
When I first saw it, I just thought, oh, yeah, player, coach, kind of, getting into it a little bit, which I didn't think. I've seen that before. I've had teammates that might question a substitution or question a play call or something. But this was more than that, because I went back and rewatched it because I got number time on my hands. And they're down by about 9, and it's late in the second quarter. And 3 minutes to go, he subs out Matt Mooney. Matt Mooney, up until that point, he scored like maybe 4 quick points, but he only had 6 points. Wasn't like he was on a heater. Now, I'm the first one to go at a coach for taking out a guy when he's hot. This was not the case with Matt Mooney. As Matt Mooney walks off the court, he looks at Coach Koponen and kind of points up at the scoreboard as if to say, what, don't you want to win? That's the vibe I picked up. And Cop just kept coaching, kind of said something else to him, like, whatever. I don't know. Nobody knows what he said. But then for it to escalate like that, for Matt Mooney to go on with it was completely, absolutely, totally disrespectful. Like, you are questioning leadership. I don't need to tell you what Tony Soprano would do in a situation like this if the leadership got questioned. But Matt Mooney basically said to Coach Koponen, I don't want to play no more. I don't want to play for you. And I probably don't need to be in New Zealand or the National Basketball League for that matter. And this is what I'm saying, Joe. We can look at talent and we get seduced by it all the time. We'll just go, oh, yeah, but Matt Mooney's a great shooter. He's a combo guard. He averages 16 points a game. But are you coachable, man? You will find out about people's true character when the fire is the hottest. And Matt Mooney let himself down. And unless he throws himself on the mercy of the basketball gods and the New Zealand Breaker brass and apologizes profusely, I don't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it's the old fair old sour taste left in one's mouth after that. And he'd spoken about an interest in coming back. He's headed to Puerto Rico next. But it's if Petteri Koponen's coaching New Zealand, which there's no reason to think that he won't be, then maybe Matt Mooney isn't a part of that going forward. Let's talk about tonight's games. So the Hawks and the Kings kick things off, and you're adorned in the garb of the ladder leaders and the minor premiers, the Illawarra Hawks. What will that achievement mean to Wollongong and the community more broadly?
Man, where do I start with the Illawarra Hawks? I mean, Justin Tatum has been in the league not even 2 full seasons, like as head coach. And in the club's history, since 1979, they have never finished on top of the ladder. I mean, you would think just by sheer luck, you could fluke that maybe once. Never. Justin Tatum takes over, and they're 2-7. And they were a mess. And he goes to New Zealand, Joe, for his first game in Auckland and eked out a very close win. I think it was like 69, 65, something real low-scoring win. What are the odds that he goes back there and wins the game again, but this time it's to clinch first? I mean, this dude has been sensational for his team. The town of Wollongong has always been a battler's town. And blue collar, love the underdog, probably don't want to be an underdog, but that's the tag, and whatever, we'll roll with it. But that team is full of guys that embodies what that city is about. Justin Tatum, he don't even have to coach. We all know what he's got back home. He don't even have to be doing this if he don't want to. He's got a guy that's trying to become a career-type coach. It is just a match made in heaven. The pairing of Justin with this team couldn't be happier for him and the team and the gong. And that every game is going to be sold out. And somebody's going to have to go in there and knock them off to win the chip.
That they are. He's a great man manager, Justin Tatum. That's one of his real strengths, and it's come through over the last 18 months. Their approach against the Kings tonight, he said they won't be resting players. They'll want to take another win into the road. What about the Kings as they come into Wollongong, needing a win, needing to just regain a little bit of momentum as they start their playoff run?
Don't try to suck me in, Joe. I ain't saying the rest word twice in 2 days. There's no resting. Illawarra Hawks, we going full day. They are going full bore to not only get the win, but sweep the Kings and let them live with that for the entire offseason. I think it's going to be a long offseason for the Sydney Kings. So now you got to be playing your best basketball. You got to work out, iron out any kinks that might be there underneath the surface. Obviously, Darius Days, I can understand taking a cautious approach with him with his hamstring because you're going to need him for the real games. Not quite sure what Trey Kell is not quite sure what the extent of his injuries, but I would like to see some minutes into him because it's going to be a long break before they play this first semifinal game. As far as the Sydney Kings go, I mean, how's Jalen Adams back? That is the question. Just like when Larry Bird, Joe, was on the Indiana and he was in the high school and they get ready to go to a game and all the reporters would roll up to the school and they'd ask the coach, "Hey, coach, is Larry on the bus?" Coach said, "Yeah." They say, "Great, you're doing a good job." That's how I feel about Jalen Adams. If Jalen Adams is healthy and fit, Brian Gorgeous is doing a good job. All you got to do is get that man the ball and spread the floor, and he will make magic happen. But I'm a bit worried because he looks a little bit gimpy.
So that's the early game. The late game tonight is Perth and Adelaide, and there's so many sort of finals ramifications that are laced into all of these matches, depending on who wins by how much, all that kind of thing. But basically, the equation is that every team just needs to win to solidify their current ladder position or potentially better their ladder position. Which Adelaide do we get tonight?
I think we're going to get the lukewarm Adelaide, but we're going to get the extremely hot Kendrick Davis. Kendrick Davis has these dudes need a reason to play. Winning just don't seem to be enough. But if you give them any kind of slights, if they detect, their disrespect detector is always on. If they just get a glimpse of it, they go, "Oh, okay, that's it. Now we'll show you." You wrote us all off. So I feel like we're going to get a little bit of that as a collective, but Kendrick Davis is looking forward to another one-on-one showdown with Bryce. The only problem is it ain't about Bryce and Kendrick. It's about Perth and Adelaide. That's what it's about. So I feel like they'll put up a decent score, but I just feel like Perth will have too much.
Yep. I think there's a few disrespect sensors that might have just some faulty issues going on throughout the course of this season as well. They're sensing things where it doesn't exist. So let's see what Kendrick Davis can come up with tonight. That is a box office jewel, he and Bryce Cotton. Tassie played Cairns in their last home game. So this is the first game Saturday. The big Teal event. Tassie do a great job of this. It's always a really meaningful part of their organisation as well. And Will Magnay spoke really well about that yesterday. Jump onto the Jackie's social media and see what he had to say there, because it's really heartfelt and a terrific tribute and really encapsulates what this means to them. It means something entirely different in the sense of the Jack Jumpers as a whole, though, Damon, because they won't be in the postseason this year. It's the first time they won't have made the postseason. And all of a sudden we're thinking, gee, could this be the end of an era in Tassie?
Yeah, first of all, that Teal game, kudos to them because it's a couple of years ago. And I mean, they lost someone close in their community, in their family. So this game absolutely means something to them. And they're going to come out and play the Jackie way and leave it all out there on the floor. As far as the end of an era, I mean, we're some tough critics in sports. Like, they've been in existence for 4 years, go to the grand final twice and win one of them, semifinal the other year, and now the 1 year they don't make it, we're like, oh, do they need to blow it up? And I don't feel like they do. I mean, there's a certain grace period you get when you do win a championship. I feel like, again, if you take your best players out of your team, you are not going to win. Not as long as you don't embarrass yourself. I don't feel like the Jack Jumpers have embarrassed themselves at all this season. They had to play some games without Will Madney. They had to play a lot of games without Sean McDonald. We all know the Jack McVay story. They changed imports. Okay, the one mistake they made, they picked the wrong imports. I mean, for what they wanted, I'm not saying those guys are not good basketball players in their own right, but for what the Jack Jumpers needed, Craig Sword and Ian Hummer was not it. That was the only slight I would have. But everybody else, Majuk Deng, good player, Anthony Drimick, Fabian Kristovich, I'm not going to panic and overreact and just get rid of a whole bunch of dudes. I'm looking at bringing back both import guards, and I'm looking at getting a stud 4 or 5-man import to go alongside Will Magnay. We've seen Gorjak Gak make a few strides, so I don't think it's panic stations in Tasmania.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting watch to see exactly what they do. But I mean, they were in the hunt for so much of the season, and you're right. You know, the injuries to probably their two most important players in McDonald and Magnay in some ways have absolutely knocked them off the perch. And we finished the season with a throwdown. What a way to cap things off. Southeast Melbourne and Melbourne. So Southeast looking for a third straight throwdown win for the first time in club history. Melbourne, of course, just trying to cement second spot. Southeast can still sort of make some gains on the ladder, or they can fall back down and potentially host Adelaide in that 5v6 matchup. This is a hell of a way to finish the year.
I don't know what we did to deserve this, but man, we must have been behaving ourselves, because this is a treat. Two teams with absolutely everything to play for, two rivals, and it wasn't that long ago I was calling this series a beatdown instead of a throwdown, and now this season, Phoenix can't lose. Sam McKinnon has won a throwdown, and now Josh King has already won a throwdown. This is going to be live. It's going to be a sold-out crowd in John Cain Coliseum. I cannot wait for this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Just a tip: who wins that throwdown? Okay,
I'm going Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix, man. I just feel like it's something about them. I feel like Melbourne United I don't trust their scoring. Jack White is too up and down for my liking, and I just feel like the Phoenix are more trustworthy at this stage in the season.
Yeah, and I mean, they've put it together over a fairly long course of time now as well, the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. And, you know, it's highly unlikely that Perth would catch Melbourne and need a monumental swing in terms of percentage. So United don't have a great deal to play for, or certainly not as much as what the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix do. So that is a massive card for round 20. Then we'll be at the Gazies on Monday night. We'll have a full wrap-up show from that as well. Of course, moments that matter in between with Jack and Derek. We'll wrap things up. There's heaps of good stuff coming in NBL content land, so do not look away. Damon, have yourself a great weekend. Look forward to chatting to you soon.
Good on you, big fella.
Damon Lowery with you on NBL Now. NBL.com.au, NBL app for all your news. We'll see you when the regular season ends next week.